Good evening and welcome to the Thursday, January 16th, 2025 meeting of the school committee. I would like to call the meeting to order and to let those who are here in the studio know that the meeting is not only live, but it is being recorded. And I would invite those who are here in the studio to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so as people know, tonight is our public hearing on the FY 2026 budget. The public hearing actually starts at 7:05, so I'm going to go ahead. We can open the hearing a little bit early. We're going to keep it open all the way until 7:35, we'll close it. If there are not people here to speak between now and then, we'll move through our other business and just leave it open so that if people come that want to then speak, that they're able to do so. So I would seek a motion to open the public hearing for the proposed FY 26 school department budget in the amount of $67,190,630.
I'll second that.
Motion by Kyla, second by Susan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and the public hearing is now open. And I would invite Dr. Kavanaugh if you'd like to make some comments before we.
Sure, thank you. So I understand that we have already seen the same budget presentation twice. My budget recommendation has not changed. We've had two joint meetings with appropriations and the select board. And so for the sake of sort of facilitating the meeting tonight, I think that we are only going to show the singular recommended budget slide, and we will look at what those amounts are for both salaries and expenses and what the percent increase is year over year. And so I will ask Mrs. Rothermick to just read through that slide, and then we will open it up.
Absolutely. So as we do every year, we do break the budget down into buckets just to make it more easily understandable for the public. So the first is our contractual obligations, inflation, and current services in the amount of $2,569,000, which represents a 4.07% increase. Special education, $489,000 increase, a 0.78%. Instructional cost and enrollment growth covering $650,000 increase, or a 1.03%. Instructional program and enhancements are zero. Administration, support, and facility enhancements, an increase of $335,000, or a 0.53%. So the total FY 26 budget increase is $4,045,000, which is a 6.41% increase. And again, we would be requesting the special education reserve to be funded at $1,046,276.
Okay. Thank you. People who are here in the studio, is there anybody who would like to come up to ask any questions that you have or any comments that you'd like to share on the budget? We are certainly happy to answer questions. Okay. So we will leave the hearing open in case there are any other people who come in and allow people an opportunity to ask questions if they have them between now and 7:35. But we will move into reports in the meantime while we're waiting. And our student council representative, Savannah, is not able to be with us tonight, but so we will move into the construction update.
You need the screen.
Oh, sorry, did you?
Sorry.
Okay, so thank you. This is the construction update for both the Hopkins project and Charleswood. Looking at the project dashboard, we did have one safety incident. We had a contractor who did slip on black ice in December. He did injure his knee and reportedly is back to work, but that was something that we discussed as a group as being a safety item. Project is on schedule. as you can see what the dates are with the final completion, school ready for students in August of '26. The project is also on budget. The commitments to date are 86% spent. There have been no quality issues. The school director of technology, learning innovation is soliciting quotes for the owner, provided the security, technology, and the AV. And the goal is to present for approval in February and March. And there have been no new issues this month. Again, looking at the construction site overview, you can see the yellow is the existing school and the play area, recess area for the students. The gray is the driveway and parking loop. The green, again, is where the new addition building is going up, and the construction trailers over to the far side of the site. Looking at some of the construction activities and these pictures, you start to really get a sense of the building, and it's getting exciting to see this, the steel go up. So you can see the steel that has been installed, and the metal decking is, the install is in progress. These are some more pictures. You can see the metal decking that has been installed at the roof level. Some excavation for storm drainage has been in progress, and you can see the stone underneath, which is pending for that slab on grade pour. So the progress this month, commenced the structural steel installation. That steel deliveries began in December. Commenced the MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. That's what MEP is, exploratory work in the existing building. The final storm drainage and piping installation is in progress. There's been tape, sand, and painting of temp walls at the connectors inside the existing building, and the concrete base poured for the standalone exterior wall mock-up. Next month, obtain the building permit. The building department email allowed Commodore to proceed with structural steel install on 11/26. Plan is to review comments issued by the building department in December, and those are under review by the Perkins team. And Chris, I believe you had a question on why do we not have a building permit? So what has happened, the building department is reviewing the plans, and as he accepts, questions, the plans, gets comments back and accepts certain sections, then he's giving a permit for those sections. So we've been permitted up to the steel, and it will continue. So complete underground plumbing and electrical install, complete steel installation, including the decking, pour the concrete slab on deck at level 2 and level 1, and complete the exterior wall mock-up for material review and testing. Change orders to date, the change order total is $19,000. Current pending and estimated change orders for January represents about 7%. Looking at the budget update, architecture expenditures to date, we are running at 68%. Our owner's project manager expenditures to date are at 29%, and the construction billings for our GMP are at 13%. Moving to Charleswood, they are in the process of reviewing the 90% construction documents that will be submitted to the MSBA. Conservation Commission review of the street improvements is ongoing. Review and execution of the MSBA project funding, and that agreement, once it is finalized through the MSBA, will restart the reimbursements to the town for that project. Contractor pre-qualification is underway, and the project is still looking at $1.2 million under budget, as of the October estimates. And I believe the next round of estimates will be in February. The next major, well, there you go, next major milestones, project estimates will be in February. The Conservation Commission public hearing on the street improvements is upcoming. Bidding of the documents will happen in March or April, with a eye to construction contract award in May of '25. And again, this is the construction schedule update that we like to show each time, just so the public has an eye on where we're landing. And the schedule has not changed. Any questions?
What do the colors represent?
I think the red is actual construction.
Okay.
I've never asked him
Oh, okay.
why what color? But it does seem to be that the red is actual construction.
And it looks like the green says open to students.
Open to students, so,
That's good.
yes.
Green.
So again, just as a reminder, for Hopkins, when the new addition is done, students will move into the new addition while they're doing interior renovations of the existing building. So that's why you see open to students in two different places for the Hopkins level. Any other questions?
Not for me. All right. Thank you. So I'd like to see if Mr. Bishop would like to, do you want to come up early and do your piece? Not to push you, but if you had wanted to watch from home while you did other things for the rest of the meeting, that's okay too. So this is.
Nice to see you all.
Nice to see you. For folks at home, we're on to the high school graduation competency determination.
Yes, thanks, Nancy. Nice to see you all. Thank you. I'm looking forward to having a conversation about our new proposed language regarding our competency determination at the high school for your review and hopefully approval. As we know, state law requires students to satisfy the requirement of a competency determination in order to graduate. Historically, that has been the passing score on MCAS tests for English, math, and science. But I think, as we all know, back in November, it was voted on ballot question number 2 to amend that language and remove the MCAS test as a way to determine competency. Or in other words, it's been removed as a graduation requirement. And so it has certainly been a pretty hot topic at the high school level the last few months because school committees and schools need to kind of establish locally what they feel is the right competency certification process. And so that's really kind of the work that we need to be doing together collaboratively, is to kind of determine what works best for Hopkinton when it comes to this competency determination. Because we have our graduation requirements, every school has that, but the state then requires the competency determination. And with the MCAS not being that tool anymore, that's really what we have to figure out. And so, I would like to say, before we dive into our proposal, the work that has gone into kind of coming up with this proposal. We've had a lot of conversations. Central office, high school administration, the middle school administration has been on webinars with the DESE about this. We sent our English SML, Sarah Ellum, to a conference to meet with other people in the field, in the area, about what they're doing around the competency determination. And I'm fortunate to be in a job-alike group with 30-plus principals. So this has been a conversation that we've had probably for 2 months now about what is each district doing. And so I just want to be clear that our proposal is very, very much in line with what other high schools in the area are doing, as well as the guidance that's coming from the state. So on the memo that I submitted to all of you, I'll first start with our graduation requirements. That's not going to change. We have very specific graduation requirements when it comes to courses and credits. And so that's existing language that will stay in. So you'll see English, you take 20 credits to graduate. That's 4 full years of English. It's 5 credits for a year, 2.5 for a semester. Science is 15 credits, that's 3 years of science. Oftentimes, our students will take 4 years of science. And you can see on and on. World language is 10 credits, which is 2 years, and so on and so forth. So that will stay as our graduation requirements. The new language is below that, where it says competency determination. So this is our proposed language that we'd like to put into our handbook and get approved when it comes to this idea of a competency determination. And so I'll just read that language, and then I'm happy to have a conversation, answer any questions that you have. So in addition to our local graduation requirements, which I just mentioned, students must meet the competency determination that state law requires. In order for students to do that in Hopkinton, we're proposing that they must, 1, complete 9th and 10th grade English with a passing grade, 2, complete 9th and 10th grade math with a passing grade. That must include geometry or Algebra 1 or Algebra 2. So some students at the middle school take Algebra 1, and then they begin their high school experience with geometry and then take Algebra 2 sophomore year. While others will start with Algebra 1 freshman year and then take geometry. So they're all taking geometry in those first 2 years. So that's why I want to make sure that geometry is one of those requirements, or Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, okay? And then complete one of the 3 core science classes, which is either biology, which most students will take sophomore year, and then either chemistry or physics or other options, they take them usually junior or senior year. So that's what we're proposing for our competency determination. That's what the state is actually guiding us, is to focus more on coursework. The reason why we pick these classes is they closely align with state standards and the frameworks. And these are the classes that students would generally take leading up to taking the MCAS exam. So language below that, it talks about if a student does not meet this requirement, they'll be monitored and supported in grades 11 and 12 and must pass relevant subjects in 11 and 12. That could be 11th grade English, could be 12th grade English, could be Algebra 2 if they didn't take it prior in freshman and sophomore year. Or there's an option of making up the coursework that they may have not passed. They can go back and take 9th and 10th grade English. They can go back and take Algebra 1 and geometry. Fortunately, we don't have a lot of students that find themselves in that position. We also have been charged to think about students who left school before 2025 without meeting the competency determination requirements. We've gone back into our records, and I've been the principal since 2013, and fortunately we don't have students that fall into that category. We're very fortunate in this school district that we don't have students that did not earn a diploma because they did not pass the MCAS. But there needs to be language that's put in your policy. We have, I think it's important to note that of the students in 2025 are current seniors. The only students that haven't yet earned a competency determination are our international students that come at the beginning of the school year. And so we have already had them take the MCAS retest in November in preparation because we did not know what the vote was going to be. And they're already scheduled in these classes to make sure that they meet those competency determinations. And then we have no students that fall into this category in the 2026 class, the current juniors. And so we felt this was kind of the best course moving forward, is to focus on our high quality instruction. All of our classes meet the state standards and the curricular frameworks. And it gives us a little bit of wiggle room when we talk about grades 11 and 12. If a student moves in from out of state in March of senior year, then we have some wiggle room in terms of what classes they need to take to be able to earn that competency determination. But in general, because we have such high quality educators at the high school and in the district leading up to the high school, we don't find ourselves in a position where students don't earn their competency determination in the past. We have students do really, really well on the MCAS. And so that now being removed from the equation, sometimes I think our classes are harder, if not, much harder than the MCAS exam. So I do think this is a very reasonable and nice way to go forward with our competency determinations, to focus on the coursework that we have. So that's what we're proposing. Again, a lot of the schools around the state are doing very similar things. I wanted to make sure that I checked in with some comparable high schools, and so I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I know there's a lot of talk about this, so any thoughts that you have about the CD or the MCAS in general, I'm happy to answer.
Great, thank you.
Passing grade is,
60 or above. Yep.
and if you pass 9th and 10th grade English and math, but fail 11th and 12th,
You still,
what gets triggered to count
great
that?
question. So that means you've earned your competency determination,
Right.
but you still need to meet our high school graduation requirements.
Which means you can't fail those.
Correct.
You can't.
Or, yeah, then there could be summer school options, some schools, some students
You have to
double
do
up.
Yeah. okay.
Yeah, so you do need, you
So
still
there's a
need to meet
trigger
those.
in there.
Yes. Yeah, so a lot of students, the vast majority of students will get their competency determination after sophomore year. but they still need to make sure that they meet our
For the
graduation
other
requirements. You got it.
pass,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
And then what happens to a student who comes in March of senior year, which I assume is pretty rare, but could
Yep.
happen?
Yep.
And is a good student in some other district, out of state or in-state? I assume some of this stuff is pretty universal? You have
It
to-
is. Yeah, there'll be a transcript review process. We'll make sure we'll check where they came from, what classes that they took, and if they've taken biology, or if their 9th and 10th grade English match our curriculum, then we'd say you've met the competency
There's something that's
determination.
matching.
You got it,
Okay.
yep. And if not, then we would make sure that they are scheduled into classes that are aligned with
Catching
state
up.
standards. You got it,
Okay,
yes.
got it.
Yep.
Okay, got it, thanks.
Yep.
Have you looked at past classes just to kind of see if you had people who did not pass 9th and 10th grade English, yet they did okay on the MCATs?
Yeah, so, we have all that data in terms of obviously students' grades, but also their MCAS scores. I don't have it up right now, but if we've had students that may have struggled in the class, in say biology, for example, but then passed the MCAS, right? So then they earn their competency determination, and then if you look at our graduation requirements, they need 3 years of science, so then they might be able to get it with chemistry, physics, and freshman year science. So there is still a little bit of wiggle room, but most of the students that we have, fortunately, will both pass the class and have passed the MCAS. Yeah.
Have you begun to design how you're going to monitor and support students in grades 11 and 12 that haven't met the requirement?
Yeah, so we have a pretty extensive process now for students. If the MCAS was still in place and students failed the MCAS, in order for them to either be put on an EPP, or we would have certain things put in place to make sure that the students met the requirements to be able to graduate and earn the competency determination. So I don't see any of those going away. If students are struggling in class, we'll make sure that we provide the supports that they need to be able to meet the graduation requirements. Our graduation percentage of students graduating is extremely high, and that's very important to us. So there's a lot of things that we have built in place to make sure that the students get what they need to be able to graduate from high school. So it's certainly, we have a lot in place that we're not going to change because of this. And the expectation is students still take the MCAS. Right? That's
Everyone will?
yeah, everyone will. That's what the law says. They're expected to take that. And so we'll see how that goes. I think our kids are very diligent. They want to do well. Even though it's not a graduation requirement, I would expect our kids still take that seriously. And we'll see how that goes. I think there's a lot of talk about that. Now that it's not a graduation requirement, will kids take it seriously? Right? That's a question that comes up. And I'd like to believe that our kids will. And there's also opportunities for scholarships, the Stanley Koplik Scholarship, the John and Abigail Adams Scholarship, which is tuition credit to Massachusetts state colleges, the Seal of Biliteracy, that students
Based
get
on MCAS?
based on MCAS scores.
Scores.
Yes, exactly. So those are still in play. All that the vote back in November said was that it doesn't count as a graduation requirement, but students still are
So if you
expected to
don't take it,
Yep. If you don't take it, then you would lose the opportunity for those
For the
three.
scholarship,
Yes, you
right.
got it. Yep.
prior to the MCAS not being a requirement, if you took the MCAS, you did well on the science or biology component
Mhm.
and passed through the MCAS, but you failed biology at the high school,
Mhm.
you still graduate.
You could, because you don't need 4 years of science.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Right, okay.
English and math are a little bit different.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
What is an EPP?
It's an educational kind of plan for students if they fall in a category of kind of needs improvement or failing the MCAS. There needs to be certain things that you do as a school to make sure that you can then provide to the state that they have met the competency determination.
Okay.
And so that usually comes in based on their score. So the lower scores sometimes trigger a student being put on this plan. And then that usually then will work with the guidance counselor, administration, maybe the student has a special education liaison, depending on if they're on an IEP. And then we work collaboratively with the teachers to make sure that they're meeting those expectations.
And that's
Yeah.
specific to the high school, that's not true of lower grades?
Correct, because you only
Correct.
need a competency determination
At the high
at the
school,
high
yeah,
school.
yeah.
Does the MCAS cost the district money?
No.
I don't
No.
believe so, no,
All right.
no.
I wasn't quite clear. So it's geometry or algebra 1 or algebra 2, or is it geometry and algebra 1 or 2?
Yes, good. It's geometry and
It's and.
algebra
Okay,
1
that's
or
what I
algebra
thought.
2. So it's the 2 years the students have freshman and sophomore year math.
And my other question is for students who were non-diploma seeking because they couldn't pass the MCAS before,
Yep.
does this new set of competency standards provide better support for them to
It
be
does.
able to
Yeah.
seek diplomas?
Yeah, I actually think that this is, makes it more inclusive for students to be able to earn a high school diploma.
Thank you.
And on that topic, what about children with special needs that may have a barrier to geometry or algebra or biology?
Yeah, and so, so oftentimes we've had students that will be in those classes, but they might not be able to pass the MCAS. And we do certain things with those students, and maybe it's a MCAS alt, or the student might be going to just different plans after high school. And so with this process now, with the supports that we have, because we didn't put in here the different levels of math. So we have honors math, we have AP math, we have college prep, we have foundations. So I do think we'll be able to meet the needs of all students who are looking to earn a diploma. So I do think it becomes more inclusive for students who have historically, although we don't have a lot of students in that category, but historically have not been able to pass the MCAS.
Right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so would somebody like to make a motion with regards to this?
I will. I'll make a motion. Hold on, I'm trying to get the wording right. That we approve the high school graduation competency determination.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do we need to, not for you, I'm so sorry,
Oh,
Mr. Bishop. Since the community just received this today, is there, right?
They did, that's correct.
Okay, is there any desire to hold on approving it until we give the community an opportunity to come to us with questions? Like being it was such a big deal ballot measure, lots of people feel really strongly about it.
That might be a good idea.
That sounds
Just
great.
because
I'm
we,
fine
like
either
they
way.
just got it
Yeah.
out today, and I feel really comfortable with this. But it seems like there are many parents in the community who might want to be able to look at it
I haven't had an opportunity to ask
and
questions.
ask questions.
Is it time sensitive to approve it?
I think that they want us
Next
to,
week.
yeah, I think they want us to approve it, I think in the next few weeks, but I'm sure we could have time
we'll
to
be
put it
here
up.
next
Yep,
week.
Yep. And an EPP, I'm sorry, I was blanking, it's an educational proficiency plan.
Thank you.
That's what it stands for, sorry.
Lots of acronyms.
Yes, I know, I was like, oh, yeah, want to make sure I get that right.
All right, so we will bring that back for our agenda next week,
Great.
so that we can get you
Okay,
a solid answer. Thank you so much.
thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Okay, so I'm just mindful of the time. We're going to keep the public hearing open for until 7:35, so about 7 more minutes, and then move into the superintendent's report in the meantime.
So thank you. This is a superintendent's report for January 16th, 2025. Because we've had quite a succession of meetings, it feels like, we don't have as much business to cover in superintendent's reports. So I think what's nice about this is it's entirely curriculum focused. And tonight I wanted to take an opportunity to celebrate our visual arts programs and our performing arts programs. I think that you'll catch a little bit tonight about how the progression of learning objectives works in the visual arts. And you'll get to see the work of one of our award-winning students. And then in performing arts, you'll get to see so many facets of music instruction and performing arts, and just how busy really that season is. It begins as soon as school starts, and it continues throughout the year. So I'm starting with the visual arts, and here you can see a picture of marathon art teacher Karen Lucy. Not only is she giving this first grade classroom a lesson on art, on color and texture, but also she's adding in geography and poetry elements. So it's really a beautiful lesson, and you can kind of see over on the right-hand side in that photo where they are, playing with materials that will produce texture on that paper. But I think a very cool thing is that when you think about what a texture lesson looks like in the first grade, here's what it looks like in a ceramics class at the high school. So just pretty neat. And thank you to Colleen Janino who sent these photos along to me. Here's finished pieces. They've been combined and kind of framed at Marathon School. Inspired by Wasily Kandinsky. And this is really, it's just extremely beautiful when you look at all of the kids' work compiled there. And again, a Karen Lucy item. And then back to our ceramics class, you can see the kids here who are making coil pots. And when you see them complete, they're kind of exquisite. They do a beautiful job. Our kids learn about lines, and then they play with lines, and then they learn how to add highlights and shadows. So you can see, this is an Elmwood School thing here, and I think that this right here is actually a Hopkins thing. And then finally, this is our Scholastic Award winner, Pascaline Tete. So very interestingly, this student is not a person who won a state silver medal, but rather they won a national silver medal. And the painting is entitled A Bright Idea. So just so you know how competitive that is, 100,000 students, over 100,000 students, entered nearly 340,000 original works of art and writing to the 2024 Scholastic Awards. And so Pascaline's work was selected by some of the foremost leaders in visual and literary arts, selected for excellence in originality, skill in the emergence of a personal voice, and just so you know, fewer than 2,500 works received a national medal, and this student was one of the people who did. So congratulations to them.
Wow,
Isn't
that's
that
amazing.
beautiful?
Yeah.
I think it's
Amazing.
beautiful. Yeah. Now, off to our performing arts. So in the upper left-hand corner, one of the things that I think we talk about is when we do our orchestra and band classes, we also make time for the teachers to do small group. So what you're seeing in that upper left-hand corner, Mr. Dodge there is working only with kids with saxophones, as you can see. So that's kind of technically a small group. And Mr. LeBrod and I were talking about this. He says, that doesn't look like a small group. And it doesn't. And I think it speaks to just how many people we have now enrolled in concert band and orchestra. There are just so many kids taking these courses, and it's really refreshing to see. And so down below, you can see Mr. Purdy doing the same thing. He is demonstrating finger placement with flute students. And in the bottom left, you have a high school public speaking course where they are analyzing Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. And you actually got to see that.
I did not want to leave.
And
It was wonderful.
So on the night of the Addams Family performance at the high school, I did show some pictures of that, but we have not yet seen pictures of the middle school fall production of Dorothy in Wonderland. So we have a new director. So this is Michael McKeon's Hopkinton Middle School directorial debut. And yeah, I mean, the pictures are fabulous, and the set was glorious. But one of the things that I think impressed Mr. Lefebvre so well was that there's actually an original scene to Hopkinton in this play. Mr. McKeon wrote it himself. And they're in that scene, the kids are just like, the pacing is amazing, and each one of them has a voice that just kind of almost like follows the other one with such rapidity that it almost covers it. But it allowed almost everyone in that play to have a speaking role. And the cast was enormous. So congratulations to him on his first performance. It was great. So here you get to see our high school and middle school students preparing for and performing in our winter concerts. On the left-hand side, it seems like the kids are having some kind of demonstration there. You also get a couple of snapshots from those performances. On the left, you have high school, and on the right-hand side, you've got our middle school orchestra. So here's an interesting thing. These are snapshots, both from our winter's middle school choral performances. And above, you can see that we have grade 8, and you can tell that they are on the middle school stage. But over to the left, you can see that they are in the high school athletic center. And they are because 6th grade chorus is just so big that they would not fit on that stage. So we had to move them into the high school, which is a marvelous problem to have, really. And so thank you to all of those teachers for their flexibility. We have some marching band pictures here. We love that picture over on the left. You can see the joy that I think is part of being in the music program. But over on the right-hand side at that Friday night football game, the 8th graders were allowed to join our high schoolers. So it's almost like a step-up night, kind of, for our kids who are in the music program. On Saturday, this coming Saturday, on a very frigid Saturday, there will be the Senior Festival concert, and this happens every year. The local one, the district one, is held at Mechanics Hall, and then for kids who qualify for the All-State Festival, that will be held in Symphony Hall in Boston. So just so you know, who in our school district will be going from the high school for orchestra: Aritro Chatterjee on the viola, Mei Chen on the oboe, Alexander Luter on the violin. And if you see the asterisk next to the student's name, which you do for Aritro and May, that means that when they auditioned for districts, they had a high enough score to get a recommendation to audition at the state level as well. Concert band, Josh Kim, high score, and Pranav Laki Reddy, also a high score. Jazz band, Alper Rossi on the Barry sax, and Alper also got a recommendation for all states. And then finally, in chorus, Caroline Rowe, she's an alto, and congratulations to all of these students for their musical success. We wish them well this weekend. When I was chatting electronically last night with Mr. Hay, he was at rehearsal, so. And just a great big thank you to all of our amazing and inspiring teachers in these departments. You can see how busy they are and how much our kids take away. We really do have very, very high enrollment numbers in all of those programs, and they're amazing. So, thank you.
Thank you. So, any questions, comments?
Did the group that did the Kandinsky, did they learn about Kandinsky too in the process?
Yeah, so I think that that's part of, you know, the instruction is you
Right.
learn about the artist and then you emulate the artist's work. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We have had such impressive both performing and visual arts in the district. It's a real sense of pride. So we'll move back to the public hearing, seeing as we do not have anybody, unless there's somebody here who has been here who thought of something. Any questions? I would seek a motion to close the public hearing.
I move that we close the public hearing on the budget.
Motion by Susan, is there a second?
second.
Second by Kyla, all those in favor? Aye. And so just for those who are watching from home, next week is the meeting at which we will approve a budget to pass along to the town manager to go through all the various channels that it goes through before it gets to town meeting. If people who were tuned into our joint meeting last week know that this process is evolving. I know that there is new information that is expected to come out from the state aid, and certainly things on insurance, and we will continue to look at our budget as we go forward. So thank you for those who have tuned in and for those who are here in person. Look forward to next week. And anybody who has any comments or questions that was not able to come out tonight, please feel free to reach out to us between now and when our next meeting is, and certainly anytime beyond that. So, thank you. Good night. Oh, yeah, come on up.
I just wanted to say for the public that the select board will be discussing the budget at their meeting next week, and the
Great.
packet is posted with the town manager's recommendations. So anyone who wants to read up on that before Tuesday, they can do that.
That's great, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so they're going to circle back then to our reports, just to go into the school committee chair report. Payroll warrant 25013 and 25014 have been approved. Warrants 25-056S, 25-057S, 25-058S, and 25-059S have been approved. All warrants included in the folder. Are there liaison reports tonight?
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to mention, Susan and I attended the new IEP information and question and answer session on Tuesday evening. It was well attended with lots of conversation and questions.
Did you know how many were there?
I have no idea,
That's great.
but there was a lot of
I
question and answer,
think maybe 20 people?
at least.
Yeah.
That's great. All right.
Youth Commission meeting was last night, and they talked about, shared that Hopkinton Organizing for Prevention has a survey for participation from students. They can reach out to Don Alcott at Hopkinton Youth and Family Services if interested. The public library is setting up a public study space for students looking to study for midterms. They are providing snacks and beverages in the large event space. There's also a reading marathon coming up with prizes for readers of all ages,
Oh.
yes, adults too.
She looked at me.
And
I saw that, Janie. You looked right at all ages.
And the Hopkinton Youth Commission is working on their annual report, and they are considering an infographic format, which was really interesting. And they're also doing some workshops for middle school and high school students with the library, and talking about initiating a collaboration with the senior center.
That's great.
Do they have their volunteer site up and running?
The Youth Commission?
I think it was the Youth Commission was, there was a student who had created that you could go on to.
Oh, I think they're working on that.
They're still working on it because they had a lot of we're having bug problems.
Okay, that's great. Only quick things from me. One is Sheena Martin and I have been, our HR director, have been working with NESDEC to get things kind of streamlined to come forward. I know there is couple things on the agenda for tonight, but there will be more next week as well. So that, and then continued budget talks with the Budget Advisory Group. And as Amy had mentioned, there is the public information from the town manager is available on the budget conversation that they're going to have on Tuesday. So that then brings us into the policy EFE, School Nutrition Department Civil Rights. This is a first reading, Dr. Kavanaugh.
Okay, thank you. So this is a brand-new policy to Hopkinton, and it came about because we were having an audit of our nutrition program. And so this really falls under civil rights, and what this very, very short policy says is that the Hopkinton Public Schools will comply with civil rights requirements. And essentially what that means is, in the very last sentence in the policy, if a participant, parent, guardian, or potential participant reports any concern that involves a federally or state protected class, it is our duty to inform, accept, document, and share the complaint or concern in accordance with the procedures that we are working on. So you know that whenever we have a policy like this, if there is some procedure that's carried out internally, we label that the policy EFE and then PRC1. So we have that written, and we will be meeting with our food services director, Michelle Kondakis, and Mrs. Rothermick and I, just to firm that up and make sure that what the procedure says, we're all comfortable with. And so this, in and of itself, in its entirety, is the policy.
That's great. Are there questions on the policy? Did that go out for public?
It did today, yes.
Yep. Okay, so we will bring that back. That brings us then into the annual town report, which I had sent out last week. I moved it into a Google Doc so that we could edit it in real time, because it was intended to be a rough draft for us to kind of look through and figure out what we want to do. All right, does everybody have that? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. This is great because I haven't looked at it, so I'm now picking up a couple of little things. I just deleted an extra "the" in the first paragraph. And for those at home that that read the big thick book we get at town meeting, this report will go into that. It is intended to be submitted within the next week, certainly. So this is why we are looking at it today, even though it's a calendar year 2024, which when we get to May seems like forever ago, but. Start with, are there pieces in terms of things that we've done over the past year that people think should be included that I did not? Or the other side, things that people think should be deleted. I dropped off very quickly at the end, in part because I didn't have a final sentence there.
We'll be updating it as we find out like thing, or is this sort of like we submit it soon and then it's done?
It's submitted and then
It's for
it goes to printing.
24.
Yep,
Okay.
it's for, exactly, it's for
Calendar
calendar
year.
year 2024.
Oh, right.
The
Instead of-
town likes it in January because they go to print early, I think. But I think they also want to make sure that everybody gets it in so they know who's missing it.
As someone who's not submitted their other committee ones on time, they continue to nag
They,
you.
yes, they do.
I think in the second line, you need to put in something like district's administration and staff, as well as
Where, so
the second line of it.
can you read to me where you're starting with?
Line 2, collaborative with the district's administration and
Yep.
staff, as well as other town boards. Does that
Okay. Yep.
sound right, Carol?
Yes.
We will not question English.
As a formatting, just as someone who reads a lot of documents,
Yeah.
instead of just having the little dashes, I wonder if even just a bolded title ahead of each little paragraph, instead of the like meetings
Sure.
and events, policy updates, addressing enrollment, so that if someone were just glancing through it, they might actually see something that they're interested in.
Are you
In theory.
suggesting people are not interested in the entire
I think they're very interested. They're just, it's buried among other things.
I know they waited
Okay.
with bated breath for this thing, so.
And I can plop those in if you
That would be
like, if that would
fabulous.
Do we want to talk about our collaboration with CPAC?
Okay.
Not that I have, maybe
Uh,
something off the top of my head.
You
that I
okay?
can- Susan's thinking that we met collaboratively several times.
Yeah,
and-
CPAC and school committee members have met collaboratively to improve the,
Can you,
write it out.
well, I was going to say, do you have the Google Docs version of it open?
I don't, I have the Word version open, sorry.
No, that's okay. I had,
I don't know where the Google.
It's in your email.
Yeah. Oh, year-end report calendar? No.
yes.
Yes. okay,
Calendar of
there it is,
2024,
okay.
yep.
Oh, where Jamie's putting in those things right now. I'm writing right now.
Do not understand why my pencil's not working. Maybe that could be it.
Do you need a new pencil?
Oh, it'd be not a real pencil, sorry.
Saying, Trace.
It doesn't last very long.
Okay, so I said the school committee and CPAC board met collaboratively throughout the year to raise awareness of the needs of special education students and improve communication.
Great.
Period.
The other thing I'm seeing that I missed,
Jamie's gonna put a title.
and we can certainly, does anybody have anything else on CPAC that I think that's,
I think that's
I
enough.
think that's good.
I missed under union bargaining, and I don't want to type while Jamie's typing because I don't want to mess anything up.
I don't think
as it
so.
goes. Okay.
I think they
Is
tolerated
that
it.
we started bargaining with the Hopkinton Teachers Association in November, is that accurate?
Yes.
I think so. It was a day off from school that we had our first.
We had our
I think that
training,
was in
wasn't that in
November.
October?
Oh, when we had
When we
training.
did
One of
training, was
the
it
Jewish holidays, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that was what we're
September?
thinking of.
Was it
Yeah.
September or October?
September?
And May. Quick look.
I wanna say October, early
Okay.
October.
Like October as well.
Yes, no,
Shoot.
sad.
Um,
October 3rd? Very good,
IBB
thank you.
training. Yep.
I want to just note that we didn't, that it continued on.
As of January 2025, continuing.
I would still, don't want to presume, but I would say with an anticipated agreement ahead of town meeting.
That's fair.
Hopefully well ahead, because that would mean we're making good progress. Okay.
Annual will be not capitalized. I
Oh,
think we need to
town, the
decide.
T and the M should, that
Okay,
was
yeah.
because I was typing fast and not looking at what I was doing. I feel like we need another sentence at the end. Just to kind of,
As we move forward, we remain committed to fostering, and I can type it.
that was great. Go ahead.
Innovation, equity, and excellence across Hopkins Public Schools.
Perfect.
That's what I had. I think I want to reword a little bit in the transition paragraph.
Okay.
So we engaged NESDEC to consult and assist with the search for a successor superintendent
We need an A or something ahead of that.
for a successor superintendent. Should we indicate that we chose NESDEC because of the successful and smooth process the last time we used them, or just assume, or should we spell out NESDEC instead of using their
That might be
abbreviations?
good,
Yeah,
isn't it?
that would be good.
Yeah, a positive.
Do I have what they stand for written down?
It's the New England School, is it development? My friend,
I think it's development.
yeah.
Educational consultants?
It's this New England School Development Council.
Really? Where's that other E come from?
Yeah, there's
I don't
another
know,
E
but
in there.
they do go by the New England School Development Council. Maybe they're adding DE for development,
Development.
because it then makes a pronounceable word. I don't know.
Yeah, it makes it a word.
NESC.
On the bargaining paragraph, do you want to call it collective bargaining agreements?
Oh, yes,
That might be.
thank you.
What were the, I know we've looked at like student safety, inclusion. Are there other like kind of top, even from before Chris and I and Kyla joined, that you would say were kind of policies that stuck out versus just, we did policies?
So I'd have to go, we could go back.
Would that be Kirpan would fall in 2024, right?
It was either late 2023 or 2024. I'd have to look back through hang on the
We have a
website.
concussion policy.
I mean, I think the piece that we want to consider is, are we looking to, we could list all of them, or we could
No.
pick a couple.
Yeah,
I think the hard thing is
the broad
deciding
strokes.
which ones are, because they're not really related for the most part, which
Right,
ones are the most
right.
important
I mean, there were
ones
multiple
too.
things that were looking at student safety, right?
Right, so on the website, if you go in under school committee, there's a whole thing for the policy. If we go under, sorry, the agendas and minutes. You have to start in 2023 to 2024. And then go back. If you look at the actions taken, that'll give, I mean, it's maybe more time consuming on the fly, but that's the.
I mean, we recently looked at student discipline,
Student discipline,
Concussion.
yep.
the civil rights policy. That's the nutrition one.
Was that bullying and?
Nutrition, that was 2025, the way, is that?
Bullying and harassment,
This,
we talked about.
did we do the bullying policy in 2023?
The,
Before me.
I was thinking about the, we talked about
Just a few
them
weeks
being
ago.
able to put people's faces on things that were
Oh, the
inappropriate.
technology.
Was that the technology policy, or was that the
That's not.
bullying and, and I don't have my
Harassment.
files here.
AC, yeah.
Or ACA. I think it's an A.
Right, I'm into March 20.
ACAB.
ACAB? Yeah. Just like AC?
When was that
ACAB.
done?
That was July, I believe. Yep, July.
The weapons in school policy was JICI. That was a pretty big one.
Yeah.
And that was in March of 2024. Somebody by any chance writing down, putting in the ones that were want to
Do you want
call out?
we're just generally
Yep.
saying the topic, right? Okay. So it was weapons and harassment.
I don't,
I mean, discrimination, that sounds better.
And we didn't do specifically sexual harassment, right? That was
one of
all
them.
kind of folded in.
Yeah, because it looked at Title IX, which now is non-discrimination policy is.
I think we should say weapons in school,
Oh, yeah.
just because,
We don't make policies about things.
well, is there anything else that, Susan, you can think of, or Jamie, from what's been done since you guys have been doing the policy?
I think those are the ones that stood out to me, that seemed. The most interesting, that if someone, what do you guys even do? Well, there's this really important work that we do, and we talk about it at the meeting, and Dr. Kavanaugh sends it out. So you would know.
All right, is there anything else that people want to pull out tonight to add, subtract, or edit on the document as it is?
Looks good.
Does anybody feel comfortable enough to make a motion on it?
I move we adopt the year-end report for 2024.
Okay, motion by Susan,
I'll second.
second by Kyla. All those in favor?
Aye.
And it is unanimous and passes. That moves us then into the reviewing of the proposed recruitment materials that I initially sent out because I was just forwarding the PDF, but I put it then into a Google Doc at about the same time I did that one that we just looked at, so that if people wanted to make any changes to that, it would be simple to do. And again, this comes out of the work that Sheena and I have been doing with NASDAQ, just in terms of trying to streamline things to get them here for the school committee to review so that it can get into the next step.
I feel like this last set is a really, seems like it could be 2 sentences.
Well, that would be easy with the
Yeah.
semicolon.
It seems real long for one
Yep.
sentence. Should I?
Go right ahead.
You talk about a diverse district, but do we want to talk about the significance of how our diversity has changed in recent years? I don't know, just an idea. Since that-
I think we definitely could. I mean, I don't think we want too much on that because that's
Right.
not going to be as relevant to somebody coming in.
Right. I think knowing that history is important in,
What would you like to say about it?
you would expect me to have an idea. I have ideas, but Jamie has wordsmithing.
I think is the goal to indicate how much Hopkinton has grown recently,
Yes.
including the growth in diverse populations?
Yes.
Because that's been a change that's been significant over the last, how
Yeah,
many
we
years?
talk
So
about growth of
Yep.
enrollment, don't we?
So I think
'Cause
we
that's
could do
also
something
very
on growth and enrollment between it is home to nearly 4,300 students and over 350 licensed educators would be a natural spot to
Yeah.
add something about the growth, about how much it's grown.
Do we have?
We say to keep pace with the rapid growth over the last decade. We just want to expand that a little. The district is undertaking construction, 2 major building projects.
Are you, okay,
Oh, right down there in the second paragraph.
Yeah.
yep.
Oh, that has another really long sentence.
Yeah. Why don't we just, instead, to keep pace with this rapid growth of the last decade, change that, make that 1 sentence?
Yeah. Oh, well, that's not a sentence.
Yeah, I know. Make it a sentence in itself and then start a new sentence with the district as.
Like
indication.
Hopkinton has experienced
Yeah.
rapid growth over the last decade.
Yes. I would say in population
Could
and
do,
diversity or something, or.
So the only thing, and I'm trying to think of how to wordsmith that, is that Hopkinton has experienced rapid growth over the last decade in both size and diversity of population, rather than saying population
Yeah.
size.
Yeah.
How about if you did it, having experienced rapid growth over the last decade in both population and diversity, the district has undertaken or has needed to undertake.
Can you back up a tiny bit so I can
I
describe you?
think,
Having experienced
did you
rapid
read the
growth.
new one?
Where? I'm looking where she's typed.
So this is your new
Yes.
proposed. This is the one that we just put in.
Oh, what I
It
wanted,
says the same thing, no?
yeah, I was just trying to put it together.
Together. We were trying to
That's
make
all
it
right, I
one
don't know.
short, 2 shorter sentences, but I don't want to argue with the English teacher.
Yeah, Susan, lend us
Nope,
your
got
talent.
nothing to give you. Nope.
No new words for
your
Do you
English skills.
approve the
I don't
prior?
Just so long as we don't make up new verbs.
That would be bad.
I know where that's coming from.
I don't think that should be part of our role as school
New
committee
verbs
to
making.
define new words.
No, I had to, I had this, not Carol, for calendarize. Was it calendarized?
No eyes, just calendared.
You
I
calendar.
calendared it.
See what
You know, it
Mr. Wants to say.
probably is in the dictionary.
If we ask some of our students, I'm sure they would give us a list of new verbs that they've come up with throughout the year.
We used-
I
My friends and I used
suggest
to
taking that
correct
out
lists
and making
of
that
new
like
ones.
two
Okay,
new,
yep.
like making that a new sentence.
Yep. I think you want a verb in there then.
I will verb it.
What?
I verbed it.
Good?
Merriam-Webster
new
says
verb.
it is now a verb. Susan.
Calendar it is. What about verb? Is that a also
Verb.
Oh, verb, I just got that.
Oh, we're getting punchy at 8 o'clock, okay. I think this is good.
okay? So
Chris is
fine.
quiet over here, he's like,
What do you
fine.
think, Chris?
Chris wants to talk
Any
more about
edits?
it, I think.
It's good.
Okay. Is there, if there's nothing else people want to edit, is there somebody who would like to make a motion
Sure, I'll make a motion that we use this letter
amended?
as amended to go ahead and solicit applications for superintendent.
Okay. Motion by Kyla,
Second?
second by Chris. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the last one is just feedback I had received about our screening committee, that we don't have like a director of, one of our directors of curriculum in there. Because, and people that thought that something closer to curriculum might be an important piece to have on there. I also have been in conversation with our executive, with Georgette. It's a long title, but who had agreed with kind of the sentiment that we had had originally when we were talking about not wanting the committee to get too big for screening, and had said that she felt that that might be a more, a voice that we would want to have on there, and that she would be happy to step aside for that person to have the slot that was initially for her. I didn't, and to be clear, I didn't ask her to do that. She reached out to me.
Okay.
I don't want people thinking that I'm
Intimidating
I'm
Georgia.
not. I adore Georgette, and I think she brings better to everything that she works on with us, but
Would we be allowed to include Georgette when it came to final interviews?
so the final interviews will just be the school committee, but
Right.
certainly Georgette, we will solicit feedback from anybody who's
Yeah.
happy to do it and would love to have, if she wanted to participate in a focus group,
Focus
and to
group,
just
that's it.
even
Yeah.
from what
Yeah.
she's seen,
Yeah.
provide feedback directly to us.
Does that
She
mean
has
that
a-
that Jeff would become a part of the screening committee?
Not necessarily, what directors of curriculum would be,
Oh, but
because we do have
lower.
central, but, because we do have a
We've-
spot for central office
Yeah.
administrators.
Okay.
We have a central office and a building.
So that would certainly be a possibility, but
Okay.
that, this is a separate
Okay.
piece. So are there, people have thoughts on that?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate that she brought that up. I would certainly
Yeah.
not have been like, hey, you should get, but I was concerned about the increasing numbers when
Yeah.
they suggested 9 to 12 and we're already at 13.
Although I will point out, we had 15 the last time, and we had a very successful search. They said 21 was too many. Well, they hit
Yeah.
David hit, that's what, I think it was him that had said that 15's on the higher end, but he had seen them as big as 21, which would be, I think, very difficult to manage that group, and I would be thankful not to be on a group of 21 people trying to come to a consensus. All right. Is there anybody who would like to make a motion to adjust the positions to include a curriculum director?
I would move to adjust the positions on the screening committee to include a curriculum director.
Okay.
And remove,
And remove
And-
the executive administrative.
Yes.
She has a longer title than that, and I don't want to botch it, but it's executive
administrative assistant,
Is to the superintendent,
to the superintendent, that's correct. But also to you.
and also, yes, she does a lot of different things that are not captured necessarily in a title.
Queen of Central Office.
All right, so that was that, whose motion was that?
Susan.
Susan's motion. Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
Second by Kyla. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that so moves, and there are no items of old business, and that brings us into the items by consensus.
Okay, Superintendent, I recommend the school committee approve the items by consensus as outlined in your agenda.
I move to approve the items by consensus.
Okay, motion by Jamie. Is there a second by Susan? All those in favor?
Aye.
And then we do have need for an executive session. Is there somebody who would like to read because it has to be read aloud, read and make the motion to enter into executive session?
I will. To comply with and the active authority of Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, for the purpose of discussing strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the Association of Cafeteria Workers of Hopkinton, SEIU Local 888, because discussing an open meeting would have a detrimental effect on the school committee's bargaining position, and to comply under the active authority of Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, specific to the review of the executive session minutes for the meetings of May 16, 2024, June 13, 2024, July 11, 2024, July 25th, 2024, August 22nd, 2024, October 24th, 2024, November 14th, 2024, and December 19, 2024, to adjourn the meeting in executive session.
Thank you. So, motion by Kyla. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jamie. We'll do a roll call, starting with you, Chris.
Yes.
Kyla.
Yes.
Susan.
Yes.
Jamie.
Yes.
And I am a yes, and we are entered into executive session at 8:11, feels like 11. So, and we will not be returning, just for folks that are tuning in from home, we will not be returning to the public meeting, but adjourning from our executive session. And then we will, just for next meeting dates, we will be at the select board on January 21st to discuss the adaptive playground, and then we have the regular meeting next Thursday, the 23rd. So, thank you all who tuned in.